Welcome in, one and all, to another Fresh Shave. My name is Regan, aka Pink Demon, and I got a cool new hat thanks to Nightlight, who played Stay Gold the other day. Ripper show. It's got dangly bits on it. I don't know how I feel about that yet. I'm either going to love it or it's going to really annoy me and I'll stop wearing it. So, TBC. But it certainly looks cool. Today we're going to be looking into a band that I honestly didn't think I'd end up talking about when it came out. Mostly just because when I'm, putting together notes for an album, if I can't get like 10 dot points on an album, I rarely get enough, I don't think I have enough to talk about, so I just skip it. And the band I want to talk about today, Serpent Lord, is a solo project from the frontman of Uada, who I recently talked about with their Interwoven acoustic EP. And if you're older, you might know him from Ceremonial Castings, the band that they had before Uada. And he's revitalized a solo project called Serpent Lord after over 20 years of inactivity. Their last release was a demo in 2004, and now they've put out their first full-length album, 23 years into their career, called The Once Forgotten Ways of Old. And while I love black metal, a lot of black metal bands I just don't end up reviewing because they're just good. I like the riffs, they do what black metal does well, and there's no real notes to talk about beyond it is a perfectly good, passable black metal album. And kind of as I started getting into Serpent Lord and started listening to Once Forgotten Ways of Old, I thought that's where I was heading. I'm like, yeah, this is fine. This is serviceable. I was a bit confused at first. I'm like, why isn't this an Uada release? It sounds so similar in sound to Uada, and I get that Uada has its own mythology, and maybe this doesn't fit in with this, but just sonically, it is so similar to Uada that I'm like, this could have been an Uada album, and I think I would have been really happy with it, because the acoustic album didn't really hit the spot for me, and if it didn't hit the spot for you, I highly recommend this. Spoiler alert for the end, I guess. There are some parts in it that don't really fit the Uada style, like the outro of Enter Serpentagram. We got there. And that sounds a lot closer to the Jesus Christ. To the ceremonial castings material. Easy for me to say. So I'm like, do they really need a third active project that sits between the other two in terms of style? And that kind of bugged me for the first playthrough. I'm like, why? Why this? But on the second playthrough, I put the why aside. And I'm like, what? What is this? And it is a really good and surprisingly dynamic black metal album. Once I stopped overthinking it, the first things that stood out are there are songs in there that are just capable of packing a huge punch. Constrictor is the first one that comes up. There's also a Pagan Spell, and it's got this real aggressive intensity, an attack to it, a hammering attack that is so familiar if you're a fan of Botane, and I am a huge fan of that sound in black metal, that threatening sound. It's meant to be this really intense music style that's meant to be dangerous, it's meant to be edgy. From the presentation to the sound, it should feel threatening, and so much of it doesn't anymore. So to have this sense of purpose, direction, and that direction is coming right at you with violent intent, that's what black metal should do, and it does it really well on this album. And I don't think Uada or Ceremonial Castings do that. So, once I stopped thinking about those two bands, I'm like, oh no, this is valid on its own right. This is something different. Sure, tone and riffs kind of sound a bit like the others, but no, this is doing something different. I will say I really like those punchier songs, and they are the shorter songs on the album. Constrictor comes in at 3 minutes. Pagan Spell, it's a bit longer at 5.5, but that's still, in the shorter half of the album, because there's a bunch of 8-minute plus tracks that just lack that punch for me, and not all of them pick up the slack in other areas to make them, a great start to finish track. I will say the closing track, though, Forever on the Grounds of Battle, it's probably the best of the longer songs because it's so dynamic. It has this really nice, slow, melodic section in the middle. And even the other two, Ares Ram and the title track of the album, they both have moments in them that I absolutely love. And when it gets to that point, I'm bought in. I'm like, yep, alright, sweet. I'm in for it. It's just, 8 minutes can be a really long time for a song that I am in love with 30 seconds of. So, I don't know, maybe they could be shortened down, cut out a bit. I think they just excel in that punchier, 3 to 5 minute section. I think that's their strength in writing, and yeah, they can do a good 8 minute track 1 out of 3 times. So maybe 1 out of 3 times you think about writing an 8 minute track, consider if you need to. Despite that, after my second listen, I began to realize that like this blend of styles that's a little bit Iwata, a little bit ceremonial casting, but it's also distinct. It's got other elements in there. Like I said, it's got like a whole lot of Watain in there. It's got aggression that the other ones don't have. It's got like a threatening menace that the other ones don't have. I think that's my new favorite blend from Jake Saperchi. I haven't even said the guy's name yet. Serpent Lord is a one-man project by Jake Saperchi, who is the frontman of Iwata and Ceremonial Castings. But yeah, of all the bands that he's in that I'm familiar with, I think this hits more spots than any of the others and has the best elements of the other two main ones and then some. So I'd love to see a lot more of this either on its own or just a lot more of this bleeding into, I guess you'd call Iwata the main active band now. But that was the second listen. On further listens, I'm somehow always pleasantly surprised. It's like part of me expects those parts that originally surprised me to wear off. But no, they keep hitting every time. It's the more I listen to it, the more it's cemented in my mind that no, these are really good sections, or on some of them, these are really good songs, start to finish. In fact, it's only really, the other two 8 minute tracks, Ares Ram and Once Forgotten Ways of Old, that I wouldn't call start to finish bangers. It's a 6-track album. The other 4 are all really solid, but I'd highly recommend at least checking out Constrictor. It's only 3 minutes. You got 3 minutes in your day if you're watching this. And yeah, I'd highly recommend it if, Iwata's a big act these days, but I know a lot of people don't love everything about it, and that kind of keeps them away from it. I think if you've listened to Iwata and you're like, oh, yeah, I like elements of it, but the whole thing's not doing it for me, because I feel like that with some of their albums. There are some I like cover to cover, but there are others where I might pick 1 or 2 songs off it. So if you're in that boat where you've ever, dipped a toe in and found it to be okay, but not dive right in, try diving into Serpent Lord. I couldn't really recommend it for anyone who's not into black metal. It's not particularly accessible from the outside. If you're not into black metal and you want to get into something like this, I'd probably recommend looking up Iwata's Jin. That track, I think, is very accessible, and maybe from there you can work your way into that album and then across into Serpent Lord into this album. That might be a gateway too, but yeah, I think this is a black metal album for the black metal fans, but a good one, a really good one. Don't pass it over because it's a solo project from some guy that's more famous for other things. I think it's only 39 minutes too. I love that in an album. If this was 6 8-minute songs, that would be an absolute drainer. But coming in at under 40 minutes and having a few long tracks in there, that's okay. As long as you're making the most of those minutes and you're not wasting my time. So in closing, The Once Forgotten Ways of Old by Serpent Lord, really good. I just keep coming back to it. I keep nibbling at it and being like, oh yeah, this is still yummy. And then a day or two I won't listen to it and I'll be like, oh, was that really as good as I thought it would? And I'll have a little nibble up. Like, oh yeah, it's tasty, let me tell you. So cut yourself a slice, put it on a cracker, enjoy, and I hope you come back to it as well. And regardless, I hope that you're doing well, and until next time, you stay well. Peace out.